Hey guys, I wanted to take a moment to make a brief video about stress. Given this current time, especially with this pandemic, this is something that I'm sure most of us have already felt a lot in our lives, let alone now especially. So I thought that might be a nice thing to talk about for today. So, the biggest question normally in a discussion like this would be, well, what is stress? Stress is the overwhelming feeling of just the things in your life just kind of weighing heavily on you, so to speak, like pressure from your job, stress with family, especially conflict kind of scenarios. It can be trauma induced, or sometimes if you're somebody who's very prone to things like anxiety, you can feel stress very easily about very small things. Like people with phobias can feel very intense amounts of stress over things like leaving their house, or if their belongings are clean, especially during the pandemic. So the reason why I wanted to talk about this one is because, like the things I've mentioned, we've all kind of felt these things at some point in our lives. So then the big question is, how do we deal with things such as this? Well, different things work for different people. Like I said in my first video, I wanted to make this channel to be kind of a stress reliever as well. But there are also some other things you can do. If you like to read a good book, that's something that can be very helpful. In my case, I like to play video games, so I find that as a pretty big source of relief. Some hobbies also work very well during times like this. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, it's much harder for people to do things like maybe hiking or walking or anything. I mean, I suppose those things could still work if you're not getting too close to people or anything, but we don't really have the luxury of going out in the same way as we did before, and if we do now, it's very different with, again, the social distancing and hopefully wearing your mask and everything else. But needless to say, times like this can be a very great opportunity to try to pick up a hobby or try to get, dive into things you maybe haven't tried before. Like in my case, it was YouTube. But I know, like, when I was in middle school, I was bullied, like many people were at that age, and I found writing comic strips to be a very big kind of escape. My drawing wasn't even the best, but I found it to be a very good source of, like, kind of felt like I was getting away from all of that. Really, just about anything that didn't involve school was probably a stress relief at that point, just anything outside of school. Of course, depending on the person you are, finding such hobbies can be quite challenging, which is why if you do have any friends that can recommend anything, always maybe kind of just try to have an open mind. I know trying new things is very hard. I've had trouble with change more so than I like to admit. So speaking from personal experience, it is very hard to try to find something that's suitable for you. But you'd be surprised how many things are out there. So it might take some time to kind of find that thing that's new that you want to try. You may even have to go try a couple different things, but there are things out there that can help with stress, and hopefully more healthy things like reading and stuff. I know quarantine, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but if I speak, like, on my behalf, I kind of got into some not the greatest habits during quarantine, so if I'm being brutally honest. So yeah, it's definitely kind of worth diving into and thinking, like, okay, I gotta change my routine just a little bit and kind of try to find something healthier so that I can, well, when quarantine's over, which, well, I guess we don't know at this point, but that way when it's over, I have some better habits coming out of quarantine, and that hopefully, life can resume and I don't have to worry about having, like, any health issues from my eating habits or anything like that. So yes, I've been hearing a lot more of some of my friends and everything that I don't know whether or not they had issues with stress or anxiety before coronavirus, but ever since coronavirus happened, it definitely onsetted it more after this all started. So, and I know one of the greatest things I've definitely seen as well, is really just kind of just talking to people. I know people are probably kind of not in good spirits right now because of all this, but honestly, since I'm somebody who's normally been kind of stressed before coronavirus, and I've been more calm, surprisingly, during coronavirus, I've made it my kind of my better interest to actually like listen to people for a change and see if I can, help them get out of that little mess of feelings that they probably have during all of this, which I'm sure all of us have to some degree. And well, if you ever find yourself feeling stressed, just also remember that it's completely normal to have stress in your life. It does not make you any less of a person. Your feelings are still valid, even if they seem like they kind of come out of nowhere. And the best thing you can do is own up to those feelings and just acknowledge, like, okay, I'm having a hard time right now. And just if you have to take a step back from things, try to, taking care of your health. There's nothing selfish about that at all. It's perfectly reasonable to want to take care of yourself and your health because you do matter. And you only have like one set of lungs, two kidneys. You only have one set of everything you've been given. So having to do what you need to do to be healthy is very important. And of course with friends as well, but don't ever feel bad for trying to take care of yourself or even your friends, because a lot of people just need somebody they can talk to during times like this. They need things to help them just kind of de-stress from everything, which I'm sure is a lot harder right now than it was before. But, given enough time, we'll get through this. And managing stress is going to always be important, no matter if it's coronavirus or anything else that's going on. So if you find yourself needing that time, needing that reassurance, that is a need. It's a biological human need. It makes you human. It does not make you weak. It just means you just need a little bit more right now. And I think it's like watering a plant, where if that plant hasn't been getting enough water, you're going to have to give it more water to not only make up for the water it hasn't been given, but the water it will need for that day too, so that plant will grow and it will thrive. Its roots will expand, and then before you know it, you'll replant it into different soil so it can keep on growing and expanding more. And that's how we are as people. So if you're going through a rough time during all this, just know that, and know that you're not alone, and it's okay. Like I said, we'll get through this. So just hang on. Everything's just one day at a time. Just keep on fighting. Just keep going. We'll get through this.